Thank you, Margus. Thank you, Markit, for having me here today. So my name is Pradeep Kumar. I'm working for Greentube as head of IT. And in the last 7 years, I've been following up of all IT innovations, all IT-related topics, beginning from budgeting, followed by the interest of people, what actually they need to get the work done, establishing compliance in the company, keeping compliance to the top level, and making strategic decisions. But last year, doing all of this, it was very important to look into the needs of our employees, who are actually our customers, and to understand how can we, with what we do, support our customers to be innovative, be motivated, and also to establish them a great workspace that they feel comfortable with the work they do. And this is what I want to speak about today. Shortly to Greentube. Greentube is iGaming solution provider and the leader in omnichannel technology, which means that you have the possibility to play land-based casino games combined with online on your tablet, on your mobile. We call it the 360 solution, and this is unique in the market, and we are the leaders there. The headquarters is in Vienna. We have approximately 600 plus employees with 25 million users worldwide and a huge amount of B2B partners, which we onboard on a regular basis. We do have different locations in Europe as our offices. So starting from UK, Slovakia, Malta, and we are building more locations as we expand throughout the time. And this brings us actually to the point where I need to make my mind of how can we provide corporate IT infrastructure in a very good way to all these locations, to all these employees, and how we can support them. Today, I want to speak about our journey from the last year, from what we had, and understand the needs of the employees, of our customers, and how we can provide them really good solutions with a very strong partner, and how can we reach customer satisfaction with this. So the topics will be about mainly user-centric approach in procurement, employee satisfaction, and the story of Greentube in the last year. Let's jump into the user-centric approach and why we were there. So basically in the past, we had users, they had their clients, they had their workspaces, but we were very much focused in driving technology in data centers, providing solutions for the main business which we have. And we have different kinds of users. So basically from a company perspective, the 25 million users outside are the gaming users, but from an IT perspective, our users are the employees who work on a daily basis with us. So providing a solution, you can do it in different ways. You're in charge of this, you have the budget, and you can choose whatever you want to give to the customers. But does this satisfy them? So when we were thinking about this, and we were thinking about, should we stay with the vendor we have, actually, which products should we buy, and how can we make sure that these products also meet the needs of the customer and make them happy? So we came up with the user-centric approach, which is actually a strategy at Greentube to put the customer at the focus, at the core of the business. And when this works, when the employee are satisfied, then also this drives innovation and motivates the people to do more. I told you a little bit of why we are doing this, what we are doing, and I want to come up with the motto saying people first, purchase second. This has a lot to do with money which you invest, and the people, with the money which you invest, can you actually fulfill the needs of the people? And this was the journey the whole last year, and we had ups, downs. It was a huge learning process for us, but how did we get there? So first, to understand what the customer needs, you need to listen to the customer. So you need to be open. So we created different channels. We knew what their pain were. And we had to realize you have different segments of customers. So We have graphic designers. They have completely different needs than what the normal employee would need, who's working with Outlook and a bit of presentations. You have developers in different segments who have also different needs. One developer would need a 4K screen, the other not. He wants to have more RAM, he wants to have a strong CPU, and he wants that his builds will be processed in a very fast way. So understanding this, we were able to analyze what kind of clients we would need and also see which kind of investments we want to do. So, and the user-centric approach is involving the customer into your process. And this is a tricky one because you need to decide or define at which time you want to onboard the customer, because too early would mean that they get so much information and they're actually worried about when the process will end. And too late, then we're not speaking about user-centric. So we made the customer part of the solution, and we had to learn that communication is key to success. So basically, you need to onboard the customer, you need to tell the customer on a regular basis what's happening and also how we are proceeding with the process. So again, people first, purchase second means there is a lot of things you need to think about. And the most important thing is put value above the cost or the savings. So this is something we will get back to later on. These were the things we were thinking about before we got the process started. And now I would like to take you through the journey of Greentube with the user-centric approach. And I would also like to speak about the challenges we had and how we managed to get over the challenges. So end of the day, we have been procuring hardware on a regular basis, but as we were very focused on satisfying the needs of the main business, building data centers, being really quick with time to market, the focus of corporate IT was actually on-site. Approximately 2 years back, we took a look into this and we said, this is not the right way to go. So we say employee first, but the employee is sitting most probably 8 to 10 hours a day and working on his workspace. So when he doesn't have the right kit, when he doesn't get the right tools to work with, this comes with a lot of frustration. On the technical side, we were pretty slow in rolling out the devices because everything was manual, and we had to invest a lot in people resources to fulfill the needs of the company. And the hardware requirements of the needs of the employee were not met. So basically, the developer, when he's building his builds, it took him 20 to 30 minutes to get it done because the notebook which he had was not good enough. And end of the day, all of this together means that you have unsatisfied users. Additionally to that, we had to take a decision on which vendor we want to go with. So to get a good decision here, you would need to look into different vendors and you would need to see which products are good for us. And end of the day, also a little bit think about the cost. So then understanding the segments, also looking deep into the requirements of the needs of the users, where they supported us to gather the requirements. They supported us to give us so much information that we can take wise decisions. Manage employee needs is important, but at some point with the user-centric approach, you need to find where are the boundaries of when you involve the employee and how much influence do they have in your decision of procurement. It's good, they supported us a lot, but the time when you get started and we had all of these vendors, this was pretty tough because the vendors are with you, they're supporting you with requirements, and you have these testing phases. So you go, you gather your requirements, you see actually what the offers on the market are, you choose a set of devices, and then you start testing them. So what we did is we took key people who would able to support So let's speak about development. We took people from different development areas. We gave them different devices to test. And we had a continuous feedback loop on what is good, what is bad, what we should focus on. And this was very interesting from our perspective to involve the user at some point and how much valuable input they can actually give you. Taking a decision on where to go. So basically, this was the main point where we onboarded the users the most. So when you have 4 to 5 vendors looking into, we were good enough to see which categories or which vendors would be the one we would like to go with, and also from the price range who are good to go with. And then it was a full integration with the user, meaning that they were doing testing, they were doing the benchmark testing, and they were giving us the feedback. And based on that, at some point, from an IT perspective or from the business perspective, it was not relevant who the vendor is, but analyzing the feedback of the employees, you could see in which direction it's going. And this supported us a lot to take a decision. And end of the day, when we took a decision, we were standing in front of the rollout. So I told you 600 plus employees in different locations, and they have the daily business. They have their work running. So how can you roll out it's not the hugest environment, but a very productive environment, and make sure that you can still keep business alive and they are satisfied with the migration. So a lot of things we had to think about. And of course, with the new vendor and also with how we want to manage it, we invested a lot of time in the planning and management of our devices. As I told you before, it was a lot of manual work. So we took another partner who can support us with implementing a solution for complete automated deployment, so I can reduce the load on the people working on this. And end of the day, also nowadays, we have people working from everywhere. So it makes no sense that IT is involved in the rollout process. So we were more focused on ship the device to a user. He should unpack it. This is really nice when people can unbox things, right? And log in, your profile is there and you can work. So we were able to reduce this time frame to a bare minimum where the people who are touching the devices gets reduced to approximately 80%, which saves a lot of time for us. So we came up with a rollout plan and we thought, okay, now you have it and let's go. But this was not that easy because you had really to speak with every single team. You had to decide on which team member would get which device and why. And then make the plan of handing over the devices at one time, give the people the time to set it up as they need, and then when do you do the swap? So communication to different verticals. The testing phase was pretty interesting because even when everything was done, we were able to see that how important this testing phase was. We started with 2 weeks, we prolonged to 1 month, and now we are actually in the productive rollout, which works pretty well. And coming back to the user-centric approach, when the user who tested the device is getting his device, they feel heard. So they feel valued, and this is something which was very important for us. So we are here and we say user first, and that brings employee satisfaction at some point. So understanding the impact of procurement on innovation and employee motivation. We spoke about this before. The customer has the best clients he can get, he feels valued. He gets basically, he was involved in the process of procurement, he feels heard, or she. And working with the devices which they chose, of course not all of them, but it was a major part of the people who were involved here, tells them that actually the company was listening to us, they listened to what our needs are, and now we get top-notch devices, and this is how we increase motivation and motivation comes automatically with innovation. So most important here, the user-centric approach values the employee and the voice of the customer is heard. I hope I could bring you through what we actually went through in the whole past year, give you a little bit of our experiences in the journey. You will have struggles. I think it's important to overcome these struggles, to understand where they came from and how to solve it. But end of the day, it was a very interesting journey. We learned a lot here. And I need to address, Markit was a very, very strong supporting partner for us with their experience to support us finalizing this journey. Thank you very much for having me here, and have a good day.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Pradeep, for your amazing presentation. It was really great finally to see the full rollout and everything what was before and where you came and where we stand here today in the studio in Vienna. And it's really a pleasure to understand what was exactly the journey, how you overcame these challenges. And it is amazing, fantastic, and wow, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Going a little bit back on your slides, you mentioned, and of course it's the motto, it's the strategy, and it's Greentube, value over cost. But if we look at it a little bit from the perspective, how do you really find the balance between cost, between investments, and really finding and getting the return on investment?
This is a very nice question because, of course, at the one time, the company says you need to look into cost. It's every company. So you need to keep costs low. You need to reduce OPEX on a regular basis, right? But who is the one who gives you value in your business? So you have your business running, but the employee is the most important valuable asset which you have, right? So the investment is not on the clients which we are doing. The investment is we are doing it for the employee. And when we speak about employee satisfaction, when they feel valued and they see that they have been heard to, and they are actually getting what they need to get to do a great job, this is the return of investment.
I see your point, definitely. Efficiency, innovation, it's everything what we experience together. Talking a little bit more about onboarding the customer and the user into the involvement and engaging it in the evaluation process. So you mentioned there should be a very specific timeline for that. Not too early, not too late, not too much. So what's your strategy about it? What's the right and you'll say best practices on that? When to involve your users and customers in evaluation?
Yeah, this is also a tricky one because there is no magic recipe for this. So when you are in the process, you need to identify when to onboard the customers because, as I said before, when you have them from the beginning on, there's too much of options. And when people are looking into these options, when they're testing the devices and they also share their opinion with us, you take a decision end of the day. And you will have a bigger part of people who will be disappointed because their decision was not considered. But end of the day, it has been considered, but we need to look into different factors in the procurement phase. So we said we have 4 to 5 vendors. So it was 2 days of work for me and my team. Thank you, guys. Where we are working with Excels and it's like, okay, who is the vendor? What is the cost? What are the benefits? What are the features we would like to have? And not only for now, so what are the things we want to have in the future? And does the device which we procure support actually the needs of this feature set? Yeah? And end of the day, reducing the metrics means you come to a point where cost versus what you need, you have 2 people. Yeah? And this is the point when you onboard the customer. We had a very strong implementation at Greentube where basically the customer was telling us what they need from a technical perspective, right? So a graphic designer who tells you which graphic cards he needs, which resolution he needs on the screen, up to, let's say, a finance department who says which headsets they would need. So listening to all of this, we invested a lot of money last year, but we see the results right now. So the people get a package. They're working from home. They have different situations. To have a good headset, which is noise cancelling, it's very important nowadays.
That's true. That's true.
So that's, again, back to your question, customer satisfaction and impact of their motivation versus the budget which you spend. At some point, you get a return of invest.
And you equalize your effort and also what you get and what you get. We have a question from Magas, from the audience. Based on your experience, how well first bring your own device was implemented in the corporate environment? What are the pluses and the minuses, or there are no minuses maybe?
It's something to think about. So before we started with the procurement, we said, let's invest money in the setup of automation and the tool set to implement bring your own device. But the need of having new devices was so big that we said, let's go and procure first. And now we are in the phase having the tool set already ready to have bring your own device implemented. So there are a lot of factors and use cases for bring your own device. So our strategy is for the employees, top notch and best. This is what we got them, and they're very, very happy. And we also have other employees who are the externals for us. So for them, we would offer a bring your own device setup, which is more secure, in a more secure environment to access internal services. And this is the way forward for us in the future.
That's great. Maybe I will turn around a little bit our conversation as we talk about your employees, we're talking about users, but you are a user yourself. So what about your experience? What are your learnings, and how was your voice and decision heard?
I see myself as a user, and to be honest, I was a very strong tester. So I tested basically every single device which came on the table. And I shared my feedback to the team the same way how the others shared it. So at some point, the experience, it was a fantastic journey. And I wouldn't like to miss it. Actually, I wouldn't change anything when I would need to do it once again. But diving into this user-centric approach, to see the first time what are the needs, and also at the end to see that what you did, even if it took 1 year, right, has a huge benefit for the company. You see the thank yous from the people, which you don't get that often. And you also see how nice they feel. They come to you and they say, this is really nice because I don't know any other company who invested in these devices. So there is some kind of value there. And even for myself, you know, I'm working a lot these days, but it is a huge difference with the new device which we chose, and it makes more fun for me to get the job done.
Wow, I hope that you're still enjoying the days. And of course, yes, you mentioned a lot of work, and it's not always that you see all the advantages of that. But I do hope that right now you can see in the future and see a new rollout coming. So you mentioned that you won't change anything, but anything that you would improve or take away from the perspective of a rollout?
I think it depends on which rollout it is. Yeah. So when you really have a client-based rollout for the entire company, there is a lot more to think about, right? But when we speak now, for example, the next rollout is the headphones, which we are going to. The next one is a 32-inch curved screen for everyone. So this is not something normal which a company provides. But when you see how much 2 monitors, high-end monitors cost versus the one, it's pretty nice to work with. And we will stick to the user-centric approach and see what the customer actually needs. Not all of them want to have a huge screen to work with, right? But this is the way forward for us. So, and this is what, from the strategic point of view, we will stick to with regards to procurement.
Also from the efficiency, user-centric, employee as a customer, customer as an employee. I know that you also lay huge effort and focus on sustainability and going green and your green initiative, Greentube.
Yes.
So how user-centric approach not only helps you in the daily business, in your daily operations, make your internal customers successful and happy, and also external customers happy and successful and efficient, and bringing the innovation value to a different level. So what about the user-centric also in the scope of sustainability?
This is pretty important for us. And not only green as Greentube, we really try to stay green. So basically all the data centers which we run are based on green technologies. This is very important for us. From the client perspective, this was the first thing which we did. So basically when we were speaking with the vendors, we really had a huge questionnaire on how green the vendors are. And when it was not this way, it was not even a topic to consider this vendor as a future partner for us. And this is something we really look into. This is something we work on a regular basis. Our human resource department is a huge part of the green initiative at Greentube. And from our journey, this was the important point to look into.
So sustainability, efficiency, happy users, happy customers. It's really strategy that's, of course, not easy to implement and to adopt. And you mentioned also the ups and downs during your rollout. But if we're just summing up the key strategic factors for the organizations and enterprises that are, let's say, already on the go, already on the road direction, user-centric, and making this shift, making this change happening. So what would be your key strategic factors to consider from the beginning, and also for those who are already, let's say, with little steps, inch by inch, what would be your advice?
I think the most important advice would be know your customer. This is very important, and understand the needs of what they need. Then you actually should know which goals you want to achieve. What is the target you want to achieve with what you're doing? So when we speak about Rollout as Greentube did, we were sitting in the beginning, and the first thing what we thought about is, let's get things done. But what do you want to have at the end of this project? And it's pretty simple. This is what we are speaking about all the time. We want to have satisfied customers. We want to drive innovation. We want to keep people motivated. And end of the day, the IT department is something very on the back of the company, the guys who are doing the things from the dark room. And I wanted to bring more light into the IT department and show also the business that not only that we are there, but we take care. And I think this was very important.
I guess that's the best that we could end on today. So from my side, I'm really happy that our team in Austria, we can accompany you on this challenging, but at the same time, exciting road. And I do hope that it's just the beginning, and we're definitely planning more and more to come. And it's really would be exciting to see how this approach that you're implemented already, the change that you drive in your company, the innovation, and also your employees, that they make even more efficient than it's right now. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you here today. So now, Margus, back to the main stage.